You know what most men get completely wrong? They think choosing someone is about grand gestures and dramatic declarations. But here's the truth that'll change everything you thought you knew about relationships. When a woman truly chooses you, there's one unmistakable sign that appears every single time. And the crazy part? Most men miss it entirely because they're looking in all the wrong places. What I'm about to share isn't some romantic fantasy. It's backed by behavioral psychology, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. Hey, it's Maya, and today we're talking about something that honestly shocked me when I first understood it. So here's what happened. A close friend of mine, let's call her Sarah, was dating this incredible guy. On paper, everything was perfect. He was attentive, caring, showed up on time, remembered the little things, but something felt off to her. She couldn't put her finger on it, but she knew she hadn't truly chosen him yet. 3 months later, she met someone else, completely different dynamic. And within 2 weeks, she told me, "This is different. I've actually chosen him." That conversation sent me down a rabbit hole. What exactly is that difference? What changes when a woman stops casually dating someone and actually chooses them in her heart? The answer isn't what you'd expect. It's not about how often she texts. It's not about meeting the parents or posting couple photos. Those things can happen even when she's still on the fence about you. This was shocking to research, but according to relationship psychologist Dr. Helen Fisher, the human brain experiences 3 distinct stages when it comes to romantic connections: lust, attraction, and attachment. The transition from attraction to attachment, that's where the choosing happens. And when that switch flips in a woman's mind, one specific behavior emerges that's completely different from everything that came before. Stay with me because understanding this one sign will save you months, maybe years, of confusion about where you actually stand with the woman you're interested in. Let me explain how most men misread this entire situation. There's this cultural narrative that keeps men completely confused. Movies, songs, social media, they all paint choosing someone as this explosive, obvious moment. The big kiss in the rain, the tearful airport confession, the dramatic "I choose you" speech. Real life, completely different story. A study from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that women take an average of 134 days to decide if they're truly committed to a relationship, while men take only 88 days. But here's the kicker. Men typically make this decision based on feelings, while women make it based on observation and evaluation. This is how the confusion starts. A guy feels strongly about a woman at month 2 and assumes she's on the same timeline. She might be enjoying his company, attracted to him, even sleeping with him, but she hasn't chosen him yet. Her evaluation process is still running in the background. Now, during this evaluation period, she'll show plenty of positive signs. She'll laugh at your jokes. She'll make time for you. She might even introduce you to friends. And this is where men get it twisted. They think these are signs she's chosen them. These aren't the sign. These are just signs she's interested enough to keep evaluating. The actual sign of being chosen is completely different, and it shows up in a way that most men don't even think to look for. All right, here it is. When a woman truly chooses you, she stops performing. Let me explain what that means, because this is huge. In the early stages of dating, there's always a performance element. She's presenting her best self, hair done, makeup perfect, conversation carefully curated. She's managing how you perceive her because the outcome still matters in a way that creates pressure. But when she chooses you, truly chooses you, something shifts. The performance drops. Not because she stops caring, but because she stops needing to control the outcome. This was fascinating to learn, but Dr. Brené Brown's research on vulnerability explains exactly why this happens. She found that true connection requires vulnerability, but vulnerability only feels safe when we trust that we're accepted as we are. When a woman chooses you, she's made an internal decision that you're safe enough for her real self. What does this actually look like in practice? She'll let you see her without makeup, and not in a planned, cute, lazy Sunday way. In a real, this is actually just what I look like on a random Tuesday way. She'll tell you when she's having a bad day without trying to explain it away or make it easier for you. She'll disagree with you about something without worrying that it'll push you away. She'll share the embarrassing story from her past that she usually keeps hidden. She'll admit when she doesn't know something instead of pretending she does. Here's what makes this the ultimate sign. These behaviors require her to believe you won't leave when you see the unedited version. That belief only exists when she's chosen you because she's decided you're worth the risk. The performance dropping doesn't mean she becomes sloppy or stops making effort. It means she stops editing herself for your approval. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what about all those other signs people talk about? What about her making you a priority or planning a future with you? Those matter, sure. But here's why they're secondary to this one. A woman can make you a priority while she's still evaluating you. In fact, giving you lots of time and attention is part of her evaluation process. She can't determine if you're right for her without actually spending time with you. So high investment doesn't necessarily equal choosing you. It might just mean she's still gathering data. Same thing with future planning. I've seen women talk about vacations 6 months out with guys they hadn't fully chosen yet. Why? Because discussing the future is exciting and fun, and doing it doesn't require actual vulnerability or risk. It's still somewhat theoretical. But vulnerability? That can't be faked or done halfway. There's actually neuroscience behind this. Research from UCLA found that when people feel genuinely safe with someone, their ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain associated with emotional regulation and self-censorship, shows decreased activity. In plain English, when we feel chosen and safe, our brain literally stops working so hard to filter and control what we're sharing. This is how the real shift happens. When a woman has chosen you, her brain has categorized you as safe. Her nervous system relaxes around you. And that physiological change manifests as dropping the performance. Let me share another example that made this clear to me. I have a friend who's been married for 12 years. She told me that the moment she knew her husband was the one wasn't during some grand romantic gesture. It was 3 months into dating when she got food poisoning, and instead of canceling on him and hiding it, she called him and said, "I'm sick and I look horrible and I'm not fit for human company, but I wanted to tell you anyway." His response mattered, sure, but the fact that she felt safe enough to make that call in the first place, that was the real indicator that she'd chosen him. That's a risk she only took because she'd already decided he was worth potentially losing her cool girl image over. Here's where this gets really important to understand: the contrast. When a woman hasn't chosen you yet, even if she really likes you, there's always a layer of curation. She's managing the relationship. She's staying in control. You'll notice she shares stories, but they're always slightly polished. She has bad days, but she's always fine by the time she talks to you about them. She wants to see you, but on a schedule that works perfectly. Plans are important, and canceling feels like a big deal. There's effort, sometimes lots of it, but it's directed effort with a purpose. And look, none of this is manipulative. It's just human. When we haven't fully committed to something, we keep our options open psychologically. We maintain plausible deniability. We protect ourselves. A Columbia University study on relationship commitment found that people in the pre-decision phase of relationships consistently rated their partners 15 to 20% more favorably when speaking to others than they did in private assessments. That gap, that's the performance. That's the curation. But when she's chosen you, that gap disappears. What she tells her friends about you matches what she thinks privately. She'll tell you her friend thinks you're great, but also that her mom has some concerns. She'll share the full picture because she's not trying to convince herself or anyone else anymore. The decision is made. This is shocking when you first notice it, but you can actually feel the difference in how conversations flow. Before being chosen, there's always a slight formality, even in intimate moments. Topics are somewhat predictable. Stories have clear beginnings and endings. But after, conversations become more chaotic in the best way. She'll start 3 stories at once, circle back to something from 2 days ago, share random observations that just popped into her head. The filter is down. All right, let's clear up some confusion before we go further. The performance dropping does not mean she stops trying. This is crucial. Some guys hear she stops performing and think it means she'll stop making effort, stop dressing up, stop planning dates, stop being engaged in the relationship. That's not it at all. When a woman chooses you, she often makes more effort, not less. But the nature of that effort changes. It's no longer effort aimed at securing your interest. It's effort aimed at building something real with you. She'll still dress up for dates, but she'll also be comfortable in sweatpants. She'll still plan thoughtful surprises, but she'll also tell you when she needs a night to herself. She'll still share exciting stories, but she'll also share the boring details of her day. The difference is intention. Pre-choice, the effort is about impression management. Post-choice, the effort is about connection. Also, this doesn't happen overnight. The performance doesn't drop all at once like a curtain falling. It's gradual. You'll notice small moments first. A morning text with no punctuation and a typo. A story about something embarrassing with no attempt to make it cute. A disagreement where she doesn't immediately smooth things over. These are tests, in a way. She's checking to see if the real version of her is acceptable to you. If you respond well, if you don't judge, don't pull away, don't make her regret being vulnerable, she'll offer more. So what do you do when you start seeing this sign? First, recognize it for what it is. This is her extending trust to you. That's a gift, and it deserves to be treated as one. The biggest mistake men make when they finally see the real person behind the performance is they panic. Suddenly, she's not the perfectly polished version they fell for, and they wonder if they've been tricked. She seems more moody, more complicated, more human. This is how you lose someone who's chosen you, by making her regret showing you the truth. Instead, match her vulnerability. When she stops performing, you need to stop performing too. Share your own unfiltered moments. Admit when you're having an off day. Let her see you in states you'd normally hide. Research from the University of Texas found that relationships where both partners showed high levels of mutual vulnerability within the first 6 months had an 87% higher satisfaction rate after 2 years compared to relationships where vulnerability remained low or one-sided. Mutual vulnerability creates the foundation for everything else. Without it, you're just two people performing for each other indefinitely, and that's exhausting. Second, create safety for her continued authenticity. Don't weaponize the things she shares with you. Don't bring up her insecurities during arguments. Don't joke about the vulnerable things she's told you unless she initiates that humor first. Nothing will make her rebuild those walls faster than feeling like her honesty was a mistake. And third, this is important, don't make a big deal out of it in the moment. When she shows up without makeup or shares something embarrassing or admits to a flaw, don't make it a whole thing. Don't go overboard with reassurance or make her feel like she did something brave just by being normal. Just receive it naturally. That normalcy is what confirms to her that she was right to let the performance drop. Now let's talk about the harder question. What if you've been with someone for months and you're not seeing this sign? First, check yourself. Are you creating space for vulnerability, or are you still in performance mode yourself? Women often match the energy you bring. If you're still trying to be the perfect guy with no bad days and no flaws, she's going to stay in that mode too. But if you've genuinely been authentic and vulnerable yourself and she's still firmly behind her walls after several months, that's information. Uncomfortable information, but important. According to relationship expert Esther Perel, authentic intimacy requires both people to be willing to be known, not just to know. If she's curious about you but unwilling to be equally known by you, the relationship has a ceiling. This doesn't make her a bad person. Maybe she's been hurt before and the walls are protective. Maybe she's not over someone else. Maybe she likes you but doesn't see long-term potential. Or maybe, and this is hard to accept, she just hasn't chosen you and might not. You can't force someone to choose you. You can be your best self. You can create opportunities for connection. You can show up consistently. But the choice itself, that's entirely hers to make. And here's something that took me years to understand. Someone not choosing you isn't a reflection of your worth. It's just compatibility. The right person won't need to be convinced to choose you. It'll happen naturally as they get to know who you actually are. This is crucial to understand because there's a phenomenon that confuses a lot of people. Sometimes a woman will commit to a relationship, move in, even get married, without ever truly choosing the person in the way we're talking about. She's settled, but not chosen. What's the difference? Settling is a logical decision. Choosing is an emotional one that gets backed up by logic. When someone settles, they're often thinking, this person is good enough. They check the boxes. I'm at the age where I should be settling down. My family likes them. They're stable and kind. All valid considerations, but notice what's missing. The deep internal yes that doesn't need justification. When someone chooses, the logic comes after, I choose this person. Let me now think about all the reasonable ways this makes sense. The decision is made emotionally first, then supported rationally. You can actually see the difference in how they talk about the relationship. Someone who's settled will emphasize practical aspects. He's so reliable, or she has a great job, or we never fight. Someone who's chosen will talk about how the person makes them feel. I can be completely myself, or I feel like they see me, or I'm not afraid with them. And here's where this connects to our main sign. When someone has settled rather than chosen, the performance never fully drops. There's always a level of management happening, always a part being played, because deep down, they don't feel safe enough to stop performing. They worry that if their partner sees the full reality, they might leave, and they've invested too much in the relationship to risk that. According to a study in the Journal of Marriage and Family, relationships where at least one partner reported settling had a 63% higher rate of dissatisfaction after 5 years compared to relationships where both partners felt they'd actively chosen each other. The performance dropping isn't just a sign she's chosen you, it's a sign she hasn't settled for you either. So here's what we've covered and why it matters. When a woman truly chooses you, the clearest sign isn't grand gestures or constant attention or aggressive future planning. It's vulnerability. It's the performance dropping. It's her being willing to show you the unfiltered, unedited version of herself because she's decided you're worth the risk. This sign matters because it's the foundation of everything else you want in a relationship. Real intimacy, lasting connection, genuine partnership, none of that can exist while both people are still performing for each other. Most men miss this sign because they're looking for the Hollywood version of being chosen. They want the dramatic declaration, the obvious proof. But real choosing is quieter. It shows up in a Sunday morning with no plans, in a conversation about nothing important, in the comfort of shared silence. The question isn't whether she's giving you attention. It's whether she's giving you truth. And if you're seeing this sign, if the woman in your life has started letting the walls down and showing you who she actually is, protect that. Value it. Match it with your own vulnerability. Because what you have is rarer and more valuable than all the perfectly curated relationships in the world. Now, if you found this information valuable, you're going to want to watch what I have on your screen right now. The video is called Every Woman Over 40 Wants to Be Touched. Here first, but most men have no idea. This isn't what you might think it is. We're talking about emotional connection and the specific ways mature women experience intimacy that's completely different from what works in your 20s and 30s. Most men miss this entirely and wonder why the connection feels off. That video explains exactly what's happening and how to create the kind of connection she's actually craving. Click that now. It's the natural next step to everything we just talked about, and honestly, it'll change the way you approach intimacy completely. I'm Maya, and I'll see you in that next video.